Today we are going to discuss about income from house property and what is the basis of charge, section 22 for income from house property. So now what is, first of all, understand what is basis of charge. And basis of charge means when you can say that the particular income is considered as the income from house property. So there are three conditions. If these three conditions are satisfied, then you can say that it is a income from house property. Number one, the property should consist of any building or land upper tenant thereto. Upper tenant means what? Attached. If land is attached to a particular building, then we can say that it is a income from house property. Means it is very important when you can say that the income is income from house property or income from other source or salaries, that you decide only on the basis of charge. If your basis of charge is very clear, then only you can decide whether it is income from house property or income from other source. So first one is condition one, must be utilized the property must be utilized for the building and land upper tenant thereto. If it does this condition is satisfied, then only you can say that the income is from house property. Now, what is the meaning of building and land upper tenant therefore? Upper tenant thereto. The property should consist of any building or land upper tenant thereto. That means land attached to it. Rental income of a vacant plot, not upper tenant to building, is not chargeable to income under the head income from house property, but it is either under the head profits and gains of business or profession. So that is that in this case it is taxable, or it can be taxable under the head income from other source. So that you have to, as the case may be. Now here, what is the meaning of building? Building is wide enough to include residential house. Whether so, if anybody tells you what is building, so you should be aware what is building here. Here we are talking about the residential house. If a particular house is a residential house, whether it is a laid out property or self occupied property, then then laid out for office use or for storage or for use of factory, even music hall, dance hall, lecture halls and other public auditoriums are building. That means commercial. If you are laid out for commercial purpose, if you are using it for residential purpose, both the purpose can be considered here. So whether it is laid out for self purpose, residential purpose, if it is laid out for commercial purpose, then also it is to be considered. Now, land upper tenant thereto means what? The upper tenant land in respect of a building may be in the form of approach road to and from parking street, compound, courtyard, backyard, playground, etc. It also include car parking space, road connected to one department with another department, playground for the benefit of the employees, etc. So these are nothing but this is the land upper tenant thereto. So let us say this is a mall. Now there is one parking which is attached to the mall. Now in this case you can say that this parking is attached to a mall, and that is why first condition is satisfied. Property should consist of building and their land upper tenant thereto. So whatever income generated from parking and whatever income generated from mall, whether it is let out, then it is considered as income from house property. So that you have to understand why it is income from house property. If you do not understand, then it will create a confusion. So now assessee should be the owner of the property. Income is taxable under the head income from house property only if the assessee of the owner of the property. If assessee is not the owner, then this all things will be not useful. The word owner includes legal owner also and deemed owner also. For the purpose of section 22, owner may be an individual, HUA firm, company, cooperative society, or association of person, etc. That means here we are talking about a owner. And owner doesn't mean only individual. Owner may be HUF firm also, owner may be a company, owner may be a cooperative society, owner may be association of person, etc. So all here the second condition is what? Assessee. Assessee includes person should be the owner of the property. Assessee means person, and person should be the owner of the property, and person means every, not only individual. HUF, Hindu Undivided Family Company Cooperative Society, all are included in the definition of the owner. Annual value of the property is assessed to tax under section 22 in the hands of owner, even if he is not in the receipt of the income. It is not necessary that the owner should extend it to the site on which building stand as well as the superstructure. Now here one point is there. Income from subletting is not taxable under the head section 22. So income from subletting is not taxable as the income from house property, because let us understand this with the help of one concept. X owns a house property. He lets it out for to Y for 3 years, rent being 10,000 per month. Now X has given property to Y and Y sublet it to Z on a monthly rent of rupees 40,000. Now rental income of X is taxable under the head income from house property, because X is the owner of the property. Y is not the owner of the property. So whatever rent Y is getting, it is taxable under the head income from other source. But whatever rent Mr. X is getting, it is taxable as income from house property. That you have to understand. Because Y is not the owner of the property. Since Y is not the owner of the house, how his income is not taxable as the head income from house property, but it is taxable as business income also under the head section 28, or income from other sources under section 56. So it may be taxable under the head as a business income, or it may be taxable under the head uh, income from other source section 56. Now deemed owner we will discuss in detail, but let us understand only one concept with the help of one example. Now transfer to spouse and minor child. If an individual transfer a house property without adequate consideration to his or her spouse or his or her minor child, transferor is the deemed owner of the property. This rule is however not applicable if the individual transfer a house property to his or her spouse under any agreement to live apart, or to his or her minor married daughter. The following illustrations are given to have a better understanding. X, an individual, owns a house property. On April 1, 2019, he transferred the property without any consideration to his wife. Means X has not taken any consideration from his wife. Rental income is received by Mrs. X after April 1, 2019. However, for the purpose of charging tax, the rental income X will be deemed as owner of the property. Consequently, income would be taxable in the hands of X, not in the hands of Mrs. X, because who is the considered as deemed owner in this situation? Mr. X is considered as deemed owner because he has transferred the property in the name of Mrs. X without taking adequate consideration. So that is why automatically Mr. X will be considered as deemed owner, and whatever income rental income is generated, it is taxable under the in the hands of Mr. X. Now next one, Y gift rupees 10 lakh to Mrs. Y. Mrs. Y purchase a house property out of the gifted money. In this case, the aforesaid provisions are not applicable, as Y has transferred a sum of money to his wife who has purchased a property out of the gifted amount. He has not transferred a house property. Consequently, Y will not be deemed as owner of the property. In such a case, income of the property would be computed in the hands of Mrs. Y only, as he is the owner of the property, and the income so calculated will be included in the income of Y under the provision of section 64 subsection Y, clubbing income. So that is why it is very simple here. Okay, when we have to calculate who is considered as deemed owner, just I am giving you one example about the deemed owner to clarify your concept. Now, next one. So condition one, we had already discussed, the property should consist of any building or land appertaining thereto. The assessee should be the owner of the property. It may include deemed owner also. It is included in deemed owner under section 27. The property should not be used by the owner for the purpose of any business or profession carried on by him, the profits of which are chargeable to income tax. This is the third and important conditions. Now, means if it is used for business or profession which is carried on by him and the profits of which are chargeable to income under the head business income, then obviously in that case it is not considered as income from house property. Now let us say different we will discuss different cases. X owns a building. It is given on a rent. Income of the property is taxable under the head income from house property. As the above noted, three conditions are satisfied. Because X is the owns building. Building means the first condition is satisfied. The assessee, the building, what is the first condition? The property should consist of building and land appertaining to thereto. So that is satisfied. Second one, the assessee should be the owner of the property. Here it is clearly mentioned that X owns a property and it is given on a rent, means it is given on a rental basis. That means it is not used for the business or profession carried on by him. So all the three conditions are satisfied only in these two lines. The income from property is taxable under the head income from house property. Now, why owns a building? So why is the owner of the building? And two conditions are already satisfied. The the property should consist of building and land appertaining to thereto, and assessee should be the owner of the property. It is used by him for carrying on a business, or he uses the building as his office, factory, or go down. Means now he is using that property for business purpose. That means what? In this case, no income is taxable under the head income from house property, as condition 3 is not satisfied because property is used for the business purpose. So third condition is not satisfied. Two conditions are satisfied, but third condition is not satisfied. So that is why we can say that it is not considered as income from house property. So once again, all the three conditions must be satisfied. What is the basis of charge section 22? The property should consist of any building or land appertaining thereto. The assessee should be the owner of the property, and the property should not be used by the owner for the purpose of any business or profession carried on by him, or profits of which are chargeable to income tax. Let us summarize from one another material the whole point. Now, what is annual value of any house property which is owned by SSE is taxable under the head income from house property. Here we are charging annual value. What is annual value? Annual value means whatever income that you are probable going to get from the house property is chargeable under the head income from house property. House property shall include all types of house properties, whether it is a residential house, shops, godowns, cinema building, work building, and hotel building, etc. Means whatever you should let out the property, whether you have let out the property for residential purpose or you have let out property for cinema building, workshop building, or any commercial purpose, then also it is considered as income from house property. Income from renting of house property taxable under the head income from house property, but income from sale of house property is taxable under the head capital gain, because it is two different concepts. If you sell the house property, then whatever gain will arise, it is taxable under the head capital gain. Now, analysis of section 22. Analysis of section 22 means basis of charge. We will do quick analysis of it. From this material, property should consist of any building or and land attached to the building. Land appertaining means land connected with building like garden, garage, and parking. I already explained you. Letting out of a vacant land. Vacant land means if there is no building, obviously it is not taxable under HP. It is taxable under the head income from other source because no building is there. Now, income of subletting of house property taxable under the head income from other source. I have already given you one example for the same. Assessee must be the owner of the rented house property. Means registration of the sale deed not necessary. That means what? Beneficial owner is also considered as owner. Ownership of the land on which the building stand is not necessary. Land may be on the lease. Ownership in the previous year is relevant and not in the assessment year. This is important point. Up to this we have not discussed. That means whenever transaction is taken place, assessee must be the owner in the previous year in which he is getting the income. Say for example, we are talking about 2022-23. If this is the previous year, what is the assessment year? 2023-24 is the assessment year. Now, if we are calculating income of the previous year, in that previous year, assessee must be the owner of the property. If he is not the owner in assessment year, that doesn't make any difference. If he is a owner in the previous year, that is enough for us. So whatever income generated in 22-23 and income is taxable in assessment year, and in that assessment year he is not the owner, so can we say that it is income from house property? Yes, obviously we can say that it is income from house property. Reason is very simple, because in previous year he is the owner of the property. Now ownership includes deemed ownership. I already given you one example of deemed ownership. House property with disputed title of ownership, it will be decision of the income tax department as to who is the owner till the court gives its decision on such a property. And last one, HP may be used for any purpose by the owner other than for his business or profession. If house property is used by the assessee for his own business or profession, annual value of such house property is not taxable under the head income from house property. That means what? Since section 30 does not allow deduction of notional rent, section 30 comes under the head PGBP of the property while computing business income under the head PGBP. Let us, one example is given here. Mr. X uses the property for his office. That is enough. Even though Mr. X is the owner of the property and it is comes from the building, but what is third condition here not satisfied? So income from such property cannot be taxed under the head income from house property, since it is used for his own business. So that's all about the three conditions of the basis of charge under section 22. We had discussed basis of charge. So we had discussed basis of charge section 22. If you have any doubt, please write down in a comment box. Now in next lecture, we will find out how to calculate gross annual value in case of house property. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye.